Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club show. We were playing one game a month with all of you and all of us. This month we were playing Islanders. I'm your host, Boston. I'm playing this on the PlayStation 5, joined as always by Moonpier.
Howdy, Xbox Series X.
And Musum.
Steam Deck.
Talk about all the deets here about this game. Released on PC on the April 4th, 2019, and then kind of on everything else about twice a year. A bunch of platforms got added after that. Developed by Grizzly Games, published by Grizzly Games on PC, and published by Coat-Sync on consoles. As we talked about before, came out for pretty much everything, including OS X and Linux. I like their tagline, a minimalist city builder. Just wanted to call that out.
That is the most apt description of this game, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's the show, folks.
That's
We'll
right.
See you
Bye.
next month.
At this minimalist episode, here we go. Time travel here, Metacritic and OpenCritic are both at an 80. Peers for the release date, Far Lone Sails. Is this the one we played? Far Shore Tide Shores. Far Lone Shores?
Sounds right.
Cold Shores. Cuphead came out on the Switch. Days Gone got its original release. A Plague Tale Innocence came out. And Rage 2, which is a video game I had totally forgotten about. Seemingly everybody
Really?
else did.
You totally forgot about the Rage 2 being made by the same to look like Borderlands? And the guy with the cleft jaw is the main bad guy there. And
Yeah, there was
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
too much
bad.
about that game, considering I haven't played it.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Anyways, let's ask the question we ask every month: was this game top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked? Everybody, 3, 2, 1. Overlooked.
Overlooked.
Yeah, hadn't heard about this game until Moon said, "Hey, this thing looks cool. We should play it." And we did.
And that was after I Googled. So that should give you everything you need to know.
That's right.
So the terms of my search, if I was to lawyerize this up a little bit, was short, fun games.
There you go.
Because due to time constraints, we had less time than we normally do.
This and Townscaper popped up, and you're like, "Hey, Islanders." If by the way, if you like Islanders, go play Townscaper.
And that weird to a wooden railroad building toy game.
Oh,
That's cool too.
yeah. All right. Let's stop talking about other games. Let's talk about what we liked about Islanders. Who wants to kick us off here on that island?
So I will go first, but I will actually start with what we didn't like, what I didn't like.
Okay.
Which is not much, because there is not much to like or dislike about this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a minimalist city builder, and it's
exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah, not complicated at all. Kind of for good or for better or for worse.
I did
Honestly,
not like the controls.
Yes.
Oh, actually, yes. Thank you. You
they
brought
felt
up
like
my
they were
one downside.
Yeah, they felt like they were mapped wrong. Like I should have been able to rotate stuff with the D-pad, and that wasn't it. And I should have been able to like move stuff with the right stick, but that wasn't it. Like it all kind of. What felt weird is like I needed the same control scheme I have in The Sims, oddly enough, and I didn't have that here, which is. I feel like that's asking for something strange, but every time I kept trying to go rotate something, I'm like, oh yeah, the D-pad. Nope, that doesn't do it. Whoops. So, that was weird.
Yeah, I always wanted to zoom, like when I wanted to rotate something, and I'm like, oh no, I have to exit this command, and I don't know. My best run on this game was the first one I did. Like I should have written down how far it went, because I've never made it that far again.
Right.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, you basically get a set of buildings, and like a little pack of buildings. We'll call it building packs in the tradition of Tiger Woods. You get little building packs,
Right.
And you have to put them down on a small island, and they gain points depending on what resources are nearby. So it's very if you've played a city building game before, you know the rules. You
And-
put
and I-
a lumberjack near the trees.
Right. And I do really have to appreciate every time you picked a building, there's a big informational window up in the upper right-hand corner that's like, you gain points by X, Y, and Z, you lose points by A, B, and Z. Like, that's... I really like that, because there's a lot of buildings in this game, and I was never going to remember, oh, if I put the shaman next to this thing, I lose, but if I put this over... So, I appreciated that.
Yeah, I always forgot that the shaman and the city center clashed with each other,
Yep.
so they were negative. So it was like, okay, I'm doing a delicate dance of shaman area of effect versus the city center area of effect, because the shaman gets bonuses from all buildings essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get an informational. Like it gave me information on the building before I went to place it, but then when I went to place it, that information disappeared. So then I was just moving the building aimlessly around the screen, and it would tell me the point total of wherever I was going to put it, but it, that resulted in either a lot of back and forth if I was actually trying to think about where I was putting it, or just a lot of, okay, well, this location gets me the most points, so we'll go with that.
I wonder if that's something for the console
Interesting.
version, then. That's interesting.
Yeah, because in ours it was a big block in the top right corner that was like, starts at -1, +1 per blank, +2 per blank, +5 per blank.
Didn't have that at all.
Really helpful.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds really helpful.
But you're not
No
wrong about the
bitterness here.
controls, because
yeah,
none at all. Because so I don't know how to describe this. So depending on the viewpoint, I invert or don't invert. I do not invert vertically ever, for the record. I'm not a sicko. Up is up, down is down.
Right. Well, except for maybe
however,
flying games.
In flying games, down is up and up is down. You are correct, but that's because you're controlling a throttle, and the throttle
you're not
pulling
ahead.
back tips the ship upwards.
Not like
exactly.
Right.
However, my left and right pan on the triggers, it was on the Xbox version, I always spun it the wrong way first.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I pulled the right, and it's like, no, you should be spinning the opposite direction. Now I need to pull the other direction and spin it back the other direction, because apparently I'm a nightmare human, and it doesn't have the option to invert those controls for whatever reason.
Oh, that's surprising.
I don't know why.
I just hated using the shoulder buttons to rotate.
Yeah, ditto. It just never felt right.
On a Steam Deck.
Like, it's supposed to be, one stick moves the camera in and out, and one stick, rotates. Like, that's that's what we have done for like 20 years now.
Since God invented the analog stick. Yeah. Yeah, it just, like, it's unfortunate, because I think I like so much about this game, but the controls, I felt like my brain was always rubbing against the controls in a way that never felt natural. That I feel like I don't struggle with controls like that in very many games anymore. Which is interesting.
Yeah, overall, despite my negativity, I did enjoy the game. Like, the first couple times I played it, I stayed up way too late.
I
just wanted to play one more.
Yep. Surprised this isn't on.
I've got.
I'm surprised this isn't on mobile. It seems like it's a thing that would do pretty well on mobile.
I had assumed that was my issues with the controls. I was surprised to find out otherwise. I was like, oh, this is definitely a mobile game that did not translate to console well, and I was wrong.
Turns out it's a console game that hasn't been translated to mobile yet.
That's right. I do really appreciate that the levels are procedurally generated. I feel like that adds a ton to this game. Because each level
Don't worry, Boston. We can cover this game again on We Rogue Like It.
That's right. That's right. But I feel like each level, even as you get further and further into like the number of islands you're getting, like into 3 and 4, I never got to 5 because I am not that good at this game. But like even as they were getting bigger, they never felt impossibly big. So having each level be different every time you play it felt really great. And I felt like, well, I can hop in for one more game because I'm just maybe I'll get some wild, crazy, like super vertical island or something this time. I think that helped this game a ton.
I also like the fact that it gives you the choice of packs, like because, like you said, for those of you who haven't played it, which I'm assuming is most everybody,
Right.
your fail state is essentially when you cannot place any more buildings, when you run out of buildings, because when you fill up a score meter, you get a new pack. So you fill up the meter, you get a new pack. You fill up the meter, you get a new pack. When you can't place any more buildings without breaking that threshold, that's when it's game over. Okay, upload your score to the leaderboard, so then you go back and you start at Island 1 again. And I like the fact that it gives you the choices where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, this island is a forest island, so I'm gonna try and stick to like the woodworking side of things for now.
Right.
Or there's a lot of bricks on this island, so I'm gonna use the mason pack instead of the fishing pack or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that they had some sort of informational explanation of those buildings, because the first time you're playing it and you're presented it, you're like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's hope one of these does good. And my first time I was fairly wrong, but I still kind of pushed my way through that particular level.
Yeah, even if there was a little pop-up saying, like, hey, this is great for a forested area. Hey, this is great for putting on rivers and beaches and stuff like that. I think that would have helped a little bit.
Like, one of my runs definitively ended with, like, it gave me the circus option. I'm like, oh, I haven't had that before. Let's do that. And
oh, yeah.
There was... I could not place the circus on that particular island. There was just no place where it would earn points.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I do think one interesting thing about this, though, is when you fail a run, you can either start a new game or go into sandbox mode. And I think sandbox mode is an interesting choice, especially not being able to start a new run in sandbox mode. But I feel like playing that mode didn't really... It's not bad, but it really didn't do it for me because there wasn't that tension of I gotta maximize my points so I can fill up that bar so I can get my next pack. Like, there wasn't anything there, so it felt maybe a little bit too, not like zen or whatever, but maybe kind of in the way that Townscaper does, where it's like, I'm gonna play this for a little bit, but there isn't anything to kind of propel me here, so I'm not gonna stick with it.
Yeah, I didn't see the point of it. Like, I was hoping like you would just put in some parameters and it would generate an island that you could then go through your point deal with or experiment. But it's literally just place buildings to your heart's content.
And I was hoping that you could start a new run in sandbox mode, because maybe my 6-year-old could play that mode of just like, she loves Townscaper, so like, here, just put buildings on this island and you can do whatever you want. But like, there wasn't that option, which I thought was a little bit... It's not anything that like hurts the game, but it's just a little odd.
Yeah.
Any
I will
final
say,
thought?
like, the soundtrack is pretty solid. Like, it's not music per se. There's just a lot of ambient noises, and like, it was one of those times when I like took my headphones out, put my headphones on, or took my buds out, headphones on, I should say, for those who listen to the audio version. And like, I just had my cans on, and I was just listening to the wind and as you put building down and.
The like a kind of gentle ambient soundtrack that's in the background along with it. Yeah, I liked that a lot. I thought it was nice. It wasn't like a 4 on the floor soundtrack of the oons 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 oons. You know, it's not like not like that, but it fit pretty nicely.
It looks cute. Like
it's a cool style.
Design, like it looks really really cute. Like you said, like Homescapers is a really good example of like a cute thing as well. Like. I love the simple look, the simple shading. The buildings are distinct, but distinct enough to where you can tell what they are.
Right.
And I will say, I did spend too much time playing Tetris with the houses and the mansions whenever I built
100%.
An urban area. I'm like, okay, you're the L block, so you're gonna slot in right here, and then
that's right.
There's a L gonna slot in this side.
Yep.
It is kind of funny how the game kind of encourages like we're gonna put all the mansions together over here and all the houses. Like we're gonna keep
Right.
the rich separate from the poor.
100%. Yeah. It's really good.
I could have.
It's like the shaman, like not liking the city center as well. It's like, yeah, the witch doctor dude lives in the forest,
That's right.
Yeah.
and he doesn't live near the city center. That makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. If they ever make a part 2 to this, if they just made like weird little animated, like they don't have to be doing anything in particular, but animated people like walking around the houses or areas.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like that would be a nice like chef's kiss touch, you know.
Right, right.
Like tiny little pixelated people.
Right.
They don't even have to. They could just be like little ant people that are black dots going back and forth.
Right.
Like
Right.
I would be happy with very little in that aspect.
Uh-huh.
All right. Any final thoughts here for Islanders? The tough part about this game is that's kind of all of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it is kind of a minimalist. Very. It's a pretty straightforward game. I'm trying to find flattering words for it because I don't want to say that it's like, oh, simple or slight or anything like that, because it's not really that. It is a minimalist city builder game, and it's kind of you're gonna pick it up in your tutorial run, and you're gonna do it. And
I mean, I recommend it. I like the art style. I like the vibe. It's not going to be your, oh, I'm sitting down to play this AAA game. It's going to be your,
that's right.
hey, you know what? I got half an hour to waste. I'm gonna build some tiny little weird city.
Yeah,
You know.
it's a really good podcast game. You know, it's a really good kind of maybe watching a TV show too, sort of relaxing game. So we don't get a ton of those.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Islanders, their game for this past month. Our next game, very very similar vein. We're gonna play Ghostwire Tokyo. Came out on PlayStation 5,
Yes,
Series
so
console,
similar.
and PC. That is on Game Pass at the time of recording here. So you can pick it up on there. It's also on PS Plus. One of the 15 tiers that are on there, you'll know if it says it's free on the store. I don't know which tier is which. Thanks, Sony. But we're gonna play that for our next month's game. Hope you'll join us. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.